first and foremost, welcome rec coaches to the fall 2024 season. Crazy how fast things roll through. Seems like just yesterday we finished up the spring season, so welcome back. For those who don't know me, my name is Ryan Ayrton. I'm the general manager, and I am kind of the overseer of our recreational program. And on this call with us as well, or on the Zoom meeting, is Nick Gumpert. Nick Gumpert is our social media coordinator and or education coordinator. So you'll see him pop in and out of things, and you'll see his name across the board. So as we go through, we're just going to touch some quick topics that are refreshers for some and new for some others. And then Nick will pop in and ask questions that kind of relate to the parent side and or the coaching side that I might miss as we go through. So just that's a quick little recap of who's here, the one who is not here, and who you will start to see at Canny View often. Her name is Brianna Gumpert, and she is our recreational coordinator. She is kind of our on-site field person at Canny View. So when we have these pods that are set up, which we'll talk about kind of as we go through, she is that main person you'll see at the fields. And then the last person is Jerry Becerra. Jerry's our handyman at Canny View. You'll see him in the golf cart. You'll see him moving goals, fixing nets. Many of you have known who he is, but he is also a resource, and he is also not on the chat today. So brief overview of the program, recreational program. Anywhere you go, the whole goal is for these kids to play, for these kids to have fun, for them to enjoy the atmosphere, whether it's their first time, whether it's their 20th time. And the idea is to build some basic skills. The idea is to build a passion for the game and simply make some friends along the way. So I think from a rec coaching standpoint, put that in your back pocket and just remember that as you go through the season, that it's not going to be easy. You're going to have kids who necessarily don't want to be there, and their parents are forcing them to be there. And I think it's just your reminder of how can we make it fun for them and want them to come back. And I think that's just the mindset we need to go into. As you guys have seen, we have these requirements, and we go through this every season, and it seems like it's constantly changing, and that's what we're requiring you guys to do. So the background check, the safe sport, the concussion protocol, and then now you're seeing we have to upload a picture as well. So everything's going through US Soccer now, and it's once again changed. So I'll apologize in advance. It's not our doing. It's something we have to follow protocol from the state level. And at the end of the day, what this is covering is it's a safety and a liability, not just for the kids. We want the kids to be safe, obviously, and we want them to be in a protected environment, but it's also for you coaches as well. So that if, God forbid, something were to happen or accusations were to come front, you guys are in a safe space, and you guys are protected from the club standpoint and from the state standpoint. Reminded that these are mandatory. They are coming from the state level. In order for you guys to be actively engaged with these kids one-on-one, you have to do it. So if you have assistant coaches in there, they also have to do it. So anytime you're by yourself with kids, this has to be done. We know it sucks. Every single year we have the same conversation. It's a lot of work. We get it, but it's a safety and liability reason. And I hope everybody would understand that from a parent standpoint. I want my kids to be safe when they're playing, and I would hope you guys want your kids to be safe when they're playing too. So once again, mandatory. Please get them done if you haven't got them done. We're sending out rosters as we can. So yes. Last thing for kind of the background safe sport is the safe soccer. So as I alluded to, US Soccer is now taking control of all of this. So hopefully the goal is this is a little bit more accessible. So as you're going through these tests, Mark Ashworth has updated everybody, and he has put into his emails and kind of the dialogue with you guys that everything is through US Soccer. So you're going to see there's a phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. Everything you need to do now is just phase 1. So it's a safe sport, and then it's an introductory to health and safe and playing environments. Those are the two things you got to do. It takes about 30 minutes or 30 minutes to an hour, depends on if it's the first time through or if it's a refresher. If for some reason you haven't got your roster yet, I just urge you to reach out to both Mark and I, and then give us a screenshot that you've completed both of those, because we can expedite that process with the state, and then we can get you all the information you need from that point forward. It's kind of tedious, but it's the best we're doing as they're working through new systems right now. And I'm sure it'll change again. So just bear with us on that. And I appreciate everybody going through and doing that. I know it sucks. So cool. Let's roll through this. Nick, do you have anything before I roll through the next?
No, no, you hit on all the points.
Okay, perfect. So recreational rules and curriculum. We do our best to kind of keep updated with Chris Day and our referees. So those U9, U10, 11 games and middle school games, those that have referees involved, you can find that information on the website. So gjsoccer.org, you click on or hover over the Our Programs tab, you'll see the U4 through a U11 and the middle school. On that right-hand side below where all the rosters are, you'll see a rules matrix there. You can just kind of peruse through those rules. So you're aware of the length of the games, how many players are on the field. Okay, what happens if the ball goes out on the end line? What happens if it goes out on the sideline? So on and so forth. The same stuff is still there for the little kids games. So the U4s through the U8s, those who don't have referees. You guys are kind of in charge as coaches of getting those games going. Now, you can be the referee and the coach at the same time, or you can appoint someone who's part of the families to just step on the field and help dictate and direct kids. So if the ball goes out of bounds, they're grabbing it, setting it back down. So we're trying to get the ball back in play. Like I said, found that you can find this all on the website. And if for some reason you're really struggling for whatever reason to kind of understand the schematics of the game, the ideas of why we do things we do, please just reach out. We're happy to assist any way we can. Know that we're inundated with emails left and right, so it might take us 24 hours to get back, but ultimately I want to be your person to reach out to. So rules and whatnot can be found on the website. Now the biggest
Ryan,
question we always get, yeah, go for it.
yeah, real quick. So I'm that rec coach, and I'm just like, okay, what age group are refs mandatory? I
So
know
at
it's on
the
the website,
U9,
but I'm watching it right now. What do
yeah,
I need to know?
yeah, the U9 starts the referees, and the club provides those referees for U9, U10, and 11, and then middle school. So we provide those center referees, and most of our coaches, if you haven't already, you've been reached out to by Chris Day because we have an assistant referee program, which it just essentially gives you a certified referee that you pay cash on the day of. If you haven't gotten that email, please follow back up with me at the end of whenever you do view this meeting, and we can get you in touch with him. It just gives you the ability to throw it in there.
Yeah,
U8 below, we don't have referees at
perfect.
all. That's self parent refereed.
And I know we as a club have communicated there is no financial compensation when you are a coach for rec teams. As Ryan's alluded to, we thank you for that volunteer and that opportunity that you're presenting. Where there is opportunity to offset your fees for those interested, again, maybe you're the coach and you're just like, perfect, my wife can do that, or I'm the wife and my husband can do that. You can offset your costs by becoming a referee. So for those age groups, if that's something that you are interested in, and you're just like, well, how the heck do we get discounts around here? Because I've heard that the club offers them. Reffing is one of those ways. So again, just wanted to plant that seed for our listeners and viewers out there for those opportunities to offset their recreational fees.
Yeah, thanks for that segue, Nick. And then we'll touch base on kind of other ways to make that happen at the end of the meeting here too. So
Yep.
big question we always get: practices and games. Ryan, where can I practice? Ryan, where do I find the game schedules? So on and so forth. So game schedules can be found on the website. So the same place we just alluded to before, gjsoccer.org. Hover over that Our Programs tab. Either click the U4 through U11, which is where you're at, or middle school. Okay, game schedules are on the website there. They'll be in PDF forms. If you're on your phone, you'll have to scroll down to the bottom. That's just how the system works. If you're on your computer, they'll be on the right-hand side of the screen. We've got all the team names in there. You've got all the times. You've got all the dates scheduled out for you. What I will say is things change as we go. So make sure as a coach, and you can communicate this to your parents, please be aware that things update weekly. So if we have to change a schedule because of a coaching conflict or because something happens, we'll update it. And it'll say next to the schedule in parentheses, updated 8/29 of 24. It means we literally just updated it today. So please make sure you're doing this weekly just in case things change. That way you're not missing anything. Practices, it's entirely up to you as coaches. You guys are the ones volunteering your time, which is why we've given you the luxury of some of this flexibility. Age groups is dependent upon how often you should train. If you're in the U4 and U5 age group, Okay. You don't have to have a practice. It's completely up to you. We understand they're 4, they're 5. Attention span may only last 30 minutes. I still encourage you to get these kids out. I still encourage you to get them inundated with one another, maybe for 30 minutes. It could be before the games you play on Thursday. It could be on a completely separate day, but it's just getting their motor skills going. U6 through U8, one practice is probably sufficient, somewhere between that 30 and 45 minutes, 2 practices if you're gung ho. And I think it's just going to be based on your team. So it might be the kids want more. Okay, let's give them a little bit more. As we get to that U9 through U11, 2 practices a week for an hour. That's what we're looking for. And that's what your parents are going to be looking for. They're used to that. Their development's well beyond that. These kids are going to be excited to show up. Same thing with middle school, 2 practices a week. And I would even stretch it an hour and 15 to an hour and a half. Those kids can handle that for the most part. So now that we've talked about practices and games, understand the rosters are still on the website too, because I'll just put that caveat in there. Same thing for the rosters. We update this daily. We'll have kids register late. Something happens and we've got to switch teams around a little bit. It'll say updated. It'll give you that date. It says, hey, updated 8/29. Make sure you're scrolling through. Now, from a coaching standpoint, our staff, Matt, Mark, and myself, we update our rosters and we will send you those new players. So make sure those players match what the roster looks like. That way we don't have any issues. The parents freaking out because Johnny's not on the roster on the website. However, you're emailing him, telling him practices at this time and this time. So we do our best to make it. Granted, we have some flaws in our system. It's not the perfect one, but we're doing the best we can here. So game cancellations, since we're on the topic of games, we're definitely not encouraging game cancellations and or game reschedules. It's something we really try to avoid. It's very difficult to get the time and space out of the field as is, and it makes it even more difficult when I've got to rearrange games. But things do pop up. Family emergencies happen. For whatever reason, something might not be able to go through. There's a process that we have to follow to ensure that, one, we get the game played because we want everyone to play these games, and 2, we want to make sure we get you the fields available and goals available. So first and foremost, it needs to be communicated with me first. I need to be the first form of contact. Says, hey, Ryan had a death in the family, can't play this weekend. I have no one to cover the game. What do I do? Okay, now I'm going to reach out to you and the other coach together, say, hey, we need to figure out a new date and time for this game that you both can agree on. It needs to be a day that you both can get all of your players there or most of your players there. And then once that is solidified, then I will go ahead and book the time and the field for you. And then you guys are responsible for showing up. If there's referees involved, then we get Chris Day involved. If there are no referees involved, we'll just ensure that there's goals out there for you guys so you can play the game. I'll say this again, though. We highly encourage to not go this route. Try really hard to get these games played on the dates that they should be played, which means if you need to grab a parent for one game to sit in on a game, please do so. The parents have to come to the game anyway. So if it's for one game, we understand completely. We just got to make it work best as possible. Nick, anything from your end as we
Nope,
cruise along
nothing
here?
to add on that one.
Cool. Going back to the practices once again, Ryan, where do I go? How do I find out about where to practice? Well, one, we've got the list, as does the city of Grand Junction. There are hundreds of parks in this town. Okay, they're free public parks. You're welcome to practice at them anytime. Okay, in addition to that, you've got elementary schools, middle schools, high schools that are also a part of this system that you are welcome to use. Now, there's a little bit more work involved in that, just because the schools may need you may need to get permission from the school, and then those schools will need our reliability and our insurance to make sure that that works, just in case something were to happen. But that's still an option. We will say it over and time and time again, and you're going to see it through emails from me as well. CandyView is still an option, and we encourage you to use CandyView, but we want to make sure we're on the same page with everybody, and we say this every year. Fire FC, District 51 have priority over a majority of the fields at CandyView Monday through Thursday, and for District 51, it's Monday through Friday. It's not because we're being mean. It's not because we don't want you to be out there. It's just these organizations pay a lot more money to use the fields. So Monday through Thursday, if you're looking to practice, you have to look to avoid Maverick, Bangs, Pollock, Horse Thief, and Ruby, which are mostly the fields along G Road, and then the one straight up through the middle. That's 445 to 745. Fire FC's competitive teams have priority. So if a coach comes out and that's their field they're supposed to be training on for that day, they're going to ask you to politely move, and that's how it has to work, unfortunately. District 51, Grand Junction High School soccer. The boys have Yellow Jacket, which is the field in the most northeast corner up by the ponds. Okay, they have priority on that field. Then we also have to be concerned with any games that are being played. So Yellow Jacket and Rattlesnakes, or Rattlesnakes, the field with the lights. Okay, when there's games on those fields, they have priority. That's unfortunately how that works. Now, there's still space out there. So I don't want to say that there's not space out there. Okay, Bears a field that can be used, and then the free space up by the pavilion that's also can be used. It's first come, first serve. So if someone's set up, politely just ask if they're using a separate space, and then just move over a little bit. The other space that you can use at Canny View is the north fields up by the football fields. There's a huge space up there. Typically Monday through Friday, it's not being occupied. Now, football is still in season right now. So there are the occasions that Tuesdays and Thursdays, they might be playing games. They don't use the whole space. So you're welcome to use spaces that aren't directly involved in their program. And I'll just reiterate, guys, we're not being mean about this. We want you to still have practices, and we realize that Candy View Central, but there are organizations who pay to use those fields, so they're going to get priority over those fields. Moving along swiftly here, questions that pop up as we go through picture packets. MJ Thomas, they're our main organization when we're dealing with pictures. Everybody gets pictures. At the moment, I don't have any information for anybody on what MJ Thomas is looking at for team pictures and individual pictures. Typically, they will start reaching out to us here in about a week to a week and a half. And we divulge a lot of the contact information for you guys to them so that they can reach out directly. And then they can help you guys get through the organization of when each team's pictures are going to be, where the location of that's going to be, and then what the kind of back end looks like is how long it's going to take to get those pictures back to you. So you can push that to parents now and say, I don't have the information. Ryan's going to give me the information when it comes to him. And then you can also push out the information that we are not MJ Thomas. So this is a completely separate organization from us. We just help facilitate getting information to you guys on what it looks like, how much it's going to cost, so on and so forth. But if you come back to me and say, hey, when do I get my pictures? I'm just going to direct them to MJ Thomas and say, hey, please reach out to them. They're the organization. They're going to have all the information for you. So like I said, I don't have any information for us right now. That'll probably come via email when that time comes, hopefully within the next week. Last couple of things for me, and then I'll let Nick jump in. So we had some changes to Fire FC starting in the spring, and some good changes based on feedback we've gotten. So I alluded to Bree Gumpert. She is the recreational coordinator. So we added her into the fold. And then with some discussions, we also added kind of a line of succession, as you would allude to the field and these idea of pods. So myself, Bree, and Jerry are mainly out there during the weekends. And then we've added these pods, and they're volunteer pods. And it's mostly to guide people, to facilitate some questions, to just generally be more involved with the recreational program per requests from people in the past. So once again, we'll have 3 pods out at Canny View, and these pods are just in the form of a tent, a pop-up tent. Each tent has 1 to 2 volunteers from the club level, more on the competitive side than not. So parents who've been there, who've done that. These tents have field maps. They've got the schedules for the week, and then they've got kind of QR codes for questions or programs that are being run for people who have questions. And the whole reason we're doing this, guys, is not that we have problems, not that we feel like we're doing a bad job as a club, but we want to give you guys more resources and just help, right? So many grandparents come out and they're so confused. They have no idea where to go, and they can't get a hold of mom and dad. So, hey, here's your field. I'll walk you to it. It makes it easy. It's right here. Or, hey, there was a discussion after the game. There were some parents who couldn't get along. we want you to utilize these people. So we're not causing any riffraff or any fights at the fields. That's why we've brought these people to our attention. Nick, you want to add anything to this before I jump into the second part of this?
No, no, not at this time. Keep
Okay.
going.
Essentially, these pods are they're conflict resolution pods, but they're also information pods. So utilize these people as needed. That's why they're there. The other part of this, which you'll see again, is a community hospital trainers tent. So this is the second season we're going on this, and part of the reason we've added the middle school boys and tried to get the middle school girls into earlier time slots is community is our main sponsor at the club. They want to be directly involved. They want to help with the sports management side, the sports injury prevention side, everything that they can get their hands on. So that you will see that tent out there. We highly encourage everybody to use them, even if it's something as simple as it's a scratch and we're trying to get the bleeding to stop. Okay, go utilize them. That's what they're there for. If we need ice, let's go use them. If there's truly something tragic that's happening, yeah, that they're there for this reason. We want the kids to be safe. We want them to enjoy their time, but we also want to make sure that there's a proper spot for them to go, and there's a protocol there for that. Last two things from me, or last thing for me, excluding what Nick's going to go through, is we also introduced the parent and coaches sidelines in the spring. For the most part, these worked out really, really well, especially for our U9s and our U10-11 fields. They worked super well. On our U8 fields, we started to get it done towards the end of the season, and then our U7 fields really struggled. So that map, the rec field map, is on the website for both middle school and for U4 through U11 in the same spots you can find these rosters. A lot of questions came from parents and coaches about, well, some people weren't following the rules. Some people weren't doing this. Coaches, this is 100% on you guys. We don't have enough resources for us to go every single week to these fields and restructure you on where you're supposed to be sitting. My advice would be if you are the person who understands the rules or understands the map, I should say, get in collaboration with the other coach before the game starts and have yourselves move to the same sidelines. The reason we do this, guys, is because it helps alleviate some of these problems that we have had in the past, where parents are so close to coaches, coaches on the other team, players on the other team. We want the coaches to do their job. We want you guys to have success in helping your kids understand the game, helping them make subs. And we understand that a lot of the problems are related around parents just being overly involved. So take charge of your team. Move yourself to the sideline as coaches you're supposed to be on and direct your parents to the other sideline. And then you can help the other coaches do the same thing. Hey, coach, this is the coach's sideline. Will you please ask your parents to move to the other side? It's pretty simple. And if there's a problem there, then you can come to us as our staff. So then you can go to Bree, then you can go to myself and or Jerry, and we're happy to help you guys. This is where we want you guys to get in the habit of showing up, coaching the game, going home, and going about your day. There should be no other conflicts with the day other than, oh, someone fell and tripped on their knee and I had to deal with a kid crying today. That should be about the extent of the issues you have. So I think that pretty much wraps it up for me.
Ryan,
At
what
the end of
about
the day,
setup and takedown for coaches and teams? Anything to know if their first game or last game or not a big deal based on
as
our
far as the
resources?
goals go,
Yep.
yeah, so you're going to notice on your schedules. So this particularly pertains to our U4s through U8s. On your schedule, on the right-hand column, you're going to see a field setup kind of lane. It's going to tell you field setup, field takedown, or field setup and field takedown. Okay, please note that. So if you're a field setup, that means you're probably the first game of the day. Your goal is you're going to set up those goals that are set out at Canny View for you. Okay, they've got nets in them. They've got straps in them, so you can zip tie the net onto the goal. Now, if you're a takedown, you're the opposite of that. You are the ones responsible for taking it down and putting it back into the bag. And that just helps us because there's a lot of goals to be had out there, and we just don't have enough time and resources to get all those set up and taken down before you get there and after you leave. So just a memo on the side.
Perfect. How about I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself to plant this seed, but is there going to be a weekend, a rec, health, mental health around physical health, or has that not been decided yet?
It's in the works. It's in the works. Hasn't completely been decided yet. So we're thinking it's almost like a Fire FC day, revolved around just the sports world. So it'll have some components in it: sports health, mental health, and having a community hospital involved in it to some degree. Likely in October. Don't have a date settled yet, but it's going to be a fun day. So we're gonna have some bumper jumps. We'll have some food trucks out at Canny View, but I don't have any news at the moment. So that's on the
Perfect.
back burner for now, but we'll start dishing that promotional stuff out here shortly.
Yep. Keep an eye out for that. Perfect.
And I think I'll just touch on one last thing before Nick goes. We alluded to the volunteer option on the referee side. If if anybody, and this is coaches included, if anybody's looking to get involved more often at the club level, we're always looking for volunteers, and this is one of the ways that you can help on the discount side of things. So it's a program we've started this year to really get more people involved, and it helps benefit you at the end of the day because you can get some fees covered. If you're interested in something like that, that's a good start to come at me first, and then I can loop in Bree, and we can kind of give you the details of what it looks like, what we all have going at the club level as far as the whole year goes, calendar year, because we have plenty of events that we need help with, and then what that gives you discount wise.
There we
So
go.
I'll pop that over to Nick and we'll kind of go into what the last section is here.
Perfect. Hey, coaches, wanted to segue into our Level Up program first because there's so many rumors that happen every single year based around this opportunity that Fire FC presents, and just want to get the story straight for all of us out there. Level Up is to be a resource, and in addition to what you already do as coaches, it can be in place of at the ages of 9 and 10, but it doesn't have to be. So therein lies your choice as a coach and just conversing with your parents to say, what do we want? Have these kids outgrown me and my knowledge of the game? And do I need to lean into the club a little bit more and let go? Or do I want to say, hey, it's my team. I know what I'm doing here, but I do want a little bit of help. So level up again is just something to do in addition to what you already do, and not necessarily in the place of. It starts for ages 5 and 6, and they go just once a week. 7 and 8 year olds do level up once a week, and then 9 and 10 year olds do it twice a week. And again, that's where you have some flexibility to say, is that in place of or in addition to what we already do? And a conversation for you and your parents, of course. So that's the level up in a nutshell. Last thing I'll touch on that one is that's facilitated by Fire FC licensed staff as well. So they're again giving a little bit more experience and knowledge of the game to the player pools that partake in that specific program. Ryan, being that you've been involved in that for as long as you have, anything to add on that note?
No, and I think the one thing. Well, I guess I will. Yes, there is a thing I want to add. Um, People always ask, well, my kid's not. They're not quite ready for it, and I don't know if necessarily that's for you to decide. We have plenty of kids who come in at 9 who've never played before and go on to play college soccer at some point because they've found a love for the game, they found the passion for the game. At the end of the day, if there's an interest in the game and they're looking for something a little bit more than everybody else and they have a little bit more of a drive, it's a perfect spot for them. And at the same time, if they just love the game of soccer and they don't necessarily have the drive yet, it's also a great place for them because they can learn from other kids who are in the same space or the same mind frame as them. Been doing that a long time, and I think the biggest false claim I could make is, oh, it's a competitive environment. It's not. It's still very much recreational. We still work so much on the little basic details. It's just more structure at the end of the day. We're getting kids more into an idea of what it's going to look like as they get older and as they play more competitive style of soccer.
Yeah, and for those that may have not have caught that, that can be an individual opportunity. It does not have to be, well, my team doesn't want to do it. Great, your kid can be a part of it. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing either. So it could be 3 kids off a team. It could be the whole team. It could be 1 kid off the team. It's kind of you do as you please with that program. So just know that that is out there. When it comes to facilitating opportunities and resources for you as a recreational coach. Know that we are here as resources. Ryan, myself, other staff members. We do not have these big walls built up to say we don't have time for you. We need to just focus on competitive teams. If you need help, if you are absolutely lost right now because you've never played the game of soccer, lean on us, ask us questions. We're easy to get a hold of. gjsoccerinfo@gmail.com is our club email that we will always forward to the appropriate coach or appropriate person to get those questions answered. So if you are going into your first season as a rec coach, and again, this is absolutely foreign to you, reach out because you do have resources in actual people. You have resources via our website. You have resources via our social media. So on that note, we have social media on Instagram. We have it via Facebook. We have it via YouTube. So you can use any of them, all of them. Again, that's on you. The great thing, obviously, about YouTube is it lives there, right? So I've created playlists on our YouTube channel specifically for coaches. So feel free to check that out on your own time. And just know that you can always reference them and go back to them. And maybe a lot of it doesn't apply to you, but 2 nuggets. You're able to pull 2 things out. You're just like, that was perfect. That's exactly what I needed. That's what it's for. So we have these pieces in place already. Our suggestion is utilize them versus feel like you're out on an island and there's no help out there. And I think this day and age, we're in 2024, you have the great resource of the internet, right? Yes, it takes time, but it's as simple as that. So just don't forget some of these simple resources that are at your fingertips, literally and figuratively speaking, that can be such quick and helpful answers when it comes to trying to figure out best activities to do with 5-year-olds. And you're going to get a plethora of answers. That's for sure. Speaking of website, Ryan alluded to it earlier, gjsoccer.org. That is the space and place for our website in case you need to just facilitate information for your parent groups. As he alluded to, the schedules, the rosters, etc. Keep guiding your parents into our website. We do update it on a regular basis. So it is definitely not one that you're going to find 2022 information on there and be like, where's the new stuff? We do a very good job of staying on top of that. So that is there for you as coaches. Ryan, anything to add? Gone through website,
I don't.
social media.
Nope.
Okay. Perfect. Well, again, if you guys have questions out there, reach out. I'll share that email again. gjsoccerinfo@gmail.com is our club email that you can reach out to. You can find Ryan's information, I know, on the website easy enough, and any other staff coach for that matter. So feel free to reach out at your convenience. Hopefully we'll see you on the fields here all soon. And until then, take care.